but I'll try and get it right. Let's do a 4-digit number. Actually, let's take 4 people from the back. Each of you call out a single digit. That will be the 4-digit number that I'll square.
4,
4,
2,
2,
0,
0,
2.
2. This will take a little bit of time, so bear with me. 17,656,804. Thank you very much.
Now, that's really cool, I think. So I've been doing a course on the Great Courses website called Secret of Mental Math with Arthur Benjamin. And yeah, it's really cool. You should check it out. And one of the kind of tasks that are in the course is like how to multiply 3-digit numbers, right, with each other. And it's actually relatively easy to do. It's a lot of repetition, a lot of basically, but it's relatively simple when you know the technique, right? And in your head, right? Without any aid, without any papers, nothing, right? Just in your head. So yeah, I figured it would be a great project to like develop a software around. So like a training software, because it's all about doing it like a lot, maybe 100 or a couple of 100 times before you actually get it. So yeah, it's kind of a great software project. So yeah, kind of guys, welcome to the first episode, introduction to the software building, right? So I will go through how it's kind of done. I will go through a little bit of the preview of the software, what we're going to be building. I'm going to go through the technique around here, and then it's kind of like why do I need a custom software for this? Like what benefit there is, and then at the end I will go through like in detail the technique on how to actually do it for any number, right? So yeah, let's begin, right? So 3-digit multiplication in your head, right? I think it's much easier than you think. So basically it's like 637 times 451, and then you get the answer, right? And this is something you should be able to do less in 30 seconds or less. And basically the requirements to actually do this is that you need to know your multiplication table and also be able to add 2 digits like 63 plus 75 together, right? So if you have 2 digits, if you can if you can add them together in your head, then basically you're golden. You can do this. So yeah, let's go on. So basically what we're going to be building is this epic math software, right? And there are a couple of things with the software, right? So firstly, spacebar shows you the next number. So basically as you're sitting in front of you, you'll be clicking spacebar, and then a new number will show up, and new number show up, and it's like you will be thinking like, what is it? And then you will guess what it is, right? There will be different levels, so it will be like very easy, easy, medium, hard difficulties, where we will create an algorithm that can sort the different numbers into those different buckets, right? So that will be fun. Now, one of the special abilities here is that by clicking left or right, you will be able to show the numbers more or less. So basically, if I click left, show less, then it will show less here. But if I show more, then it will show more here. And I will go into why this is important later, right? And then at the bottom, we also will do some kind of local storage of the data. So basically, as you're doing this on your computer, you'll be able to track how many do you do every day, and how many days you have missed, and stuff like that. So yeah, basically that's the project, right? So the idea how to do mental math is that when you have a big calculation, right, you are able with certain technique to break those down into multiple smaller and easier steps, right, that you can do in your head. Because it's impossible to do this in your head just straight like it is, right? You have to break it down. And in this case, to be able to do 3-digit numbers, you have to do 9 smaller multiplication problems and 5 addition problems, right? To be able to solve this much bigger problem. And addition to that, you also need to be able to calculate from left to right. And that the reason for that is that you can give like a partial answer as you're calculating. That makes you, I will explain how it works, right? So basically, let's go in with addition first. Here you can see that we have 1240 plus 1130. And basically, if you sum those together, but you start from left to right, the nice thing about it is that you can, like, at the moment of when you see the numbers, you can already start saying 2000, right? 300, because we know the 3 from here. 2370, right? Basically, when you do it from left to right, you can just start partially answering the question already, and you can start calculating other stuff as you're doing the work, right? But if you do it from the other side, where you do 0 0, it's like you have to addition everything in your head. If you do it from right to left, you have to do all the calculation, and only at the end do you have the answer. But if you start from left to right, you will actually have the answer as you are kind of calculating, right? So that's the kind of the first reason. That's why you do it from left to right, compared to generally in schools you do from right to left. And yeah, basically, so here we have a math problem, right? So this plus. So let's make it a bit harder. So one thing you should know when it comes to addition is that if you multiply 1999 plus 1999, it will never be above 4000, right? That means that any number that is start with 1, 1,000 numbers start with 1 plus another number that start with 1, you will always know that it's either it will either start with the 2 or it will start with the 3, right? So for example, here is a more harder problem, right? So 1940 plus 1230, that is, because we look on the second number, we can say, oh, it will start with a 3. It will never be 4, but it will start with a 3, and it cannot be 2, because if we look at the second number, we know it cannot be 2, because there will be a remainder there. And so basically from there, we can just continue, and we can do calculate, this is 2000, and then if we do 9 plus 2, that's 11, which is 3100. So we can say it's 3100 something, right? And in this case, if you do 40 plus 30, you will get 3170, right? And yeah, that's basically, when it comes to addition, that's how you do from left to right calculations, right? Now, let's do multiplication. And here, when it comes to numbers that are 3 digits, we can know certain thing. We will know that it's between 10,000 and 998,001. That is the maximum. If you multiply 100 times 100, you will get 10,000. And if you multiply 999 plus 999, you will have 998,001. So let's figure out how to get the first number of 332 times 231. So what you do is basically quite simple, right? So you multiply the 3 with the 2, you will get the 6, which is basically, it's pretty high number, right? Now, to know, so it will either be 6, it's fully possible that it's 6, but it could also be 7, or it could be 8, and a couple of numbers above, right? So for that, we have to calculate second thing. We have to calculate 3 times 3. So the first number and the second number, and we will get 9. And then we will calculate a 3 here, the second number in the first, and the first number here, and it will give us a 6. Now, because all the numbers are below 9, and the second and third calculation add together is or is above 9, we know that the answer is 70,000, in the 70,000 range. So so we basically have we have done 3 very, very simple multiplication, and we done basically 1 addition, and we know the first, and we know the first number, right? And we can start saying 70,000 something, something, something. And this is kind of like why you go from left to right, right? I will explain this much more in the later sections. But yeah, basically that's kind of, that's how you kind of do the mental math part, right? So this is kind of like a very simple breakdown. Like mental math is a simple breaking down a big problem by doing a lot of simple calculations. By doing it left to right, we can give a partial answer as we calculate to make us look like math geniuses, right? So if I'm going to calculate this 332 times 231, I can start with 70, and I can calculate in my head 76,000. I can stop again. 76,692, right? So as I'm saying, I can actually calculating the next number. And this allows you to do quite amazing things, right? So for example, this girl, Sakatala Davis, I have no idea how to say it, she holds the world records in multiplication. So she multiplied this number with this number. I will not even try to say how much it is. Maybe it's 7 trillion or something like that. And she got this number, right? And this was done in 20 seconds. And basically she did something very, very similar to what I just explained. She basically did 169 multiplications and 167 additions in her head, right? What's amazing about this is that she did it in 20 seconds, right? Which is like really, really fast, right? It's like more than 10 calculations a second, right? So if you want to know more about this, you can go to this guy that kind of I got it from. And yeah, basically it's similar technique, So the software we're going to develop, the reason why I think it's special compared to like just doing it online or like having a calculator or something like that, is that we will break down the problem into super small bits, right? So if we go from the blue arrow here, right? So by only focusing on figuring out the first number, then the second, we can start with 3-digit numbers instead of starting with simple stuff like 52 times 23, right? The general rule is that you should start with a lower number to get the flow of it, but I think there is a better way of doing this when it comes to learning this stuff, and that is just by hiding the numbers that are that are part of the answer. So instead of focusing on like the whole answer, you can just focusing on the first number in the beginning. So 834, 531, it's 400 something. And then you get the next one and you will say, oh, it's 300 something. And then you get the next one, it's 600 something. And yeah, I think that's much better, because then you can incrementally, become better and better in this, right? So after some time, when you get the first number right a lot of times, then you can start on the next one where it's like 440,000, right? And you continue to do it, and as you are able to do it, you show more and more of the numbers, and this way you will get much better feel for it than doing like 2-digit numbers times each other and stuff like that. And also we will be developing an algorithm that can sort the numbers into very easy to hard, right? So the way it basically works is basically, let's say you have 12 plus 23. This is a very easy thing to do addition on. But if you add a 9, it becomes a bit harder, because now you have like an extra number and then you have to plus it there, and yeah, it becomes harder. Now, if you have much bigger number, then it becomes harder, because now it's in the hundreds. Now it's not just in the same digits, right? And then if you keep going, it becomes harder and harder. So this is for addition, but we will do something similar for multiplication, where we have an algorithm that figures out how many numbers that are above 10, and basically very easy will be without any of them, and then easy will be maybe with 1 or 2, and then medium will be 3 or 4, and then hard will be with any other number or something like that, right? And this way you can like select very easy, you can select show only one number, and then you can just drill yourself to like try to guess it, right? And what we will be doing is we will be using React to do this. We will also use xState to do the logic of the app. We will also use Typescript Typescript and functional Lambda. We will be using Lambda as like a utility functions to do the algorithm. And we will use CSS framework Tailwind's CSS to make it happen. This is very similar to Lambda and Lodash, if you know those things. It's a functional utility project. And the whole goal of this stuff is to give you super fast feedback, right? So you click space, and you keep repeating it, but you make it very, very simple, so you don't have to stop. It's like 600,000, 300,000, 200,000, and you just continue like that, right? So yeah, guys, if you like it, don't forget to subscribe for the next episode. We will be building the logic next time. And let's go on to, in detail, like how does this work? Like if you want to learn it, like how does it work? So the way it works is that, like I said before, you need 9 multiplication calculations and 5 addition calculations. And this is kind of a simplification of this problem, right? So 637 times 451, this is the answer, right? And you could break this down into multiple parts. And I know this looks a bit complicated, but I will explain it. It's pretty easy, right? So this is the biggest number, and this is the biggest number, and that will be yellow, right? This is 600 times 400. Then we have the green one. So we have the green one here and green one here. And this is like the next biggest numbers, right? That if you multiply 600 times 50 and 330 times 400, right? And then you have the middle one, which is like, the middle numbers. And then you multiply these two numbers that are a bit brown, and then you have the purple one. And as you can see, there are 9 multiplications. And basically, if you add every one of them, you will get the answer 287,287. And yeah, basically, this is kind of what you're going to do in your head. However, remembering this is the tricky part, right? So one way to simplify this is that what if we remove the zeros, right? So here we have a lot of zeros and stuff, and it's quite complicated, right? But what if we remove the zeros? Suddenly, the multiplication becomes very, very easy, right? 6 times 4 is 24. 3 times 4 is 12. 7 times 4 is 28. It becomes relatively easy, right? So one thing we can see is that the zeros makes it hard, right? It makes it harder, right? And that's why you kind of need to do a lot of repetition, right? Now, but we still have a problem, because even with this, even if this was this simple, you still will not be able to remember. Remember the output of 9 calculations is very hard. So we have to make it easier to remember. And the way we do that is basically we do batches of calculations. We can do each calculation by themselves, but it's better to do batches, as I understand it, right? So we can do the first batch. We start from left. So that will be 600 times 400, and that is 240,000. that we do plus 12,000 plus 30,000. And if we do this in our head, we will get the answer of 282,000. Yeah, that will be the answer. We know that this has to be between 10,000 and 998,000. So we are getting closer to this answer, right? Now, the next step in your head is that you only remember this number. You don't need to remember this anymore, but you only need to remember 282,000, right? So with that, we do the next batch of calculations. So we do 7 times 400, which is 800. We do 30 times 50, which is 1,500, and 6 times 10, which is 600. And if we add all those things together, we will have the answer of 4,900. And then what we do is we add this 4,900 to the previous answer, right? So yeah, we kind of just add it there, and we come in very, very close to the real number, right? Like for most estimations, this will be good enough, you know, but let's get the correct answer, right? Now, when it comes, so here you can see we do the browns and we do the purple one. So it's 30 times 1, which is 30, 7 times 50, which is 350, and 7 times 1, which is 7. And if we add those together, we will have the answer of 287. Yeah, and that's basically how you do it, right? I think like the calculations are very, very easy to do in your head. Like if you break them down into steps, right? The hard part is to keeping track of the numbers, of the zeros. And that's kind of where the software comes in, right? So if you look here, right? So the first thing you start with is just the first number. And then you click, and you keep trying to become better at this. And eventually you will get much better. And yeah, basically that will be it. And then when you go to the next bar, you click again, space, you show more. And when you have done that, basically you keep going, you know, you guess 1 digit, you guess 2 digits, you guess 3 digits, you guess 4 digits until you get to 6. And then you can do it, you know, you can do it in your head. So yeah, that's kind of what the project will be about. So yeah, welcome to the introduction, and next episode we'll be doing the logic for how all this works, right? Like in xState. So yeah, see you then.